Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have an all male author expose. I have 12 wonderful and diverse men from, well, male authors from all over the world. So we're going to get started. We have one author that is not here with us today, but he sent me something to read about him. His name is Elliot Howard. He is the author of a highly rated book, Written Lives, and it can be purchased in paperback, hardback, and ebook at www.rewrittenlives.com. His 2020 release, Take a Walk with Me, is also available in paperback, hardback, and ebook at amazon.com. Rewritten Lives and Take a Walk with Me are the first two books of the four-part Rewritten Lives series. And that's Elliot Howard. He has Rewritten Lives, which is a poetry book, and Take a Walk with Me. All right, our first author up is Mr. Wesley. Wesley, can you tell us about yourself? And you
Hi.
can go ahead.
Yes. My name is Wesley Eggleston. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from Union City, California, and uh, I'm a teacher. And writing's always been my passion. Ever since I was little, I was a dedicated writer and creative writer, especially, and all the way up to now. And to the process of me writing my book, creativeness was the the forefront. I focus on having limited cliches in my book, and that means like everything is nothing's been resaid before, or I try to make everything unique and stand out. So when you read it, you it makes you think. Like, what is he trying to say at this point or in this point of the book? And so basically, my book is about uh, it's got two different things to focus on. One, it was my experience playing football my freshman year in high school, and that's the main thing about it. My book is called My Football Story. I have it right here. You can find it on Amazon too. You can either search My Football Story or look up my name, Wesley Eggleston. And besides the football part of uh, my book is also dealing with what I have what I have to live with. Is It's called hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus is water on the brain, and this was my first time, playing football, and I actually didn't know I had hydrocephalus until I started playing football, and I started getting all these nasty headaches. And long story short, I was playing, and then I actually had a bad episode of a headache that lasted for a long time, and I ended up having to go to the hospital, and they diagnosed me. Then this was when I was 16 years old. Uh, they diagnosed me with hydrocephalus, and my life has never been the same, to tell you the truth. And that's just what the book is journeying. It's You're gonna be listening. I mean, you read my book, you're going to see my trials with playing football. It was my first, like I said, it was my first time, so I had to learn all the rules, learn all the different elements, the playing football, to going to practice, to playing in the games, to and then also dealing with hydrocephalus, and that was mainly causing my headaches when I was playing football. So you can imagine, when you hit, you've hit in your football gear all the time, you're gonna get headaches, and that's what I thought it was, until ultimately I found out that it was ultimately that I had hydrocephalus, which was causing all my headaches. So uh, it's also had it all. My book also has some pictures in it that I had done illustrated to show people, the different scenes. And growing up in Oakland, growing up in the Bay Area, I went to school in Oakland, St. Elizabeth High School. I was traveling up to Oakland from my my hometown, Union City. And that was a process, getting used to that, you know, making up to practice, all the little nuances that, you know, you have to deal with when you're in high school. And I think all of that put into one, it made me who I am today. It made this book. You're going to see, you know, my the impact on my family that it had. My parents had to deal with, you know, helping me cope with hydrocephalus. And I think, again, I wouldn't have written this book, but two, I wouldn't have been able to make it through my experience if it wasn't for my parents and my family. So that's really what I wanted to say. Especially if you like football, you're gonna love this book. And I think if you're not used to hearing anecdotes and creativeness in general, you're used to cliches, you're gonna love to read this book.
All right, I have a question. When
Yes.
you face challenges in high school, do you think high school athletes face the same challenges? Why or why not?
Yes, I do. I think in every sport any sport you play, you're gonna have challenges. You're going to be tested by your coaches. You're going to be pushed by your teammates. You're going to, you know, the crowd even sometimes will influence your game. I think that was, you know, like I said, it was my first time, so not wanting to let myself down, prove that I could do it. After all, I mean, I was, like I said, I was 16 when I started to play. So if you knew my body type, everybody was saying, you know, you should have been playing football your whole time. But, you know, I believe in God's timing and everything. So I ended up playing when I was 16, and that was my ultimate fate. But I think I was better for it. Certainly, especially with all the findings in CTE and you know, head traumas playing football now that are out, you know, it was probably for the best that I didn't play younger, because I could have impacted me way more. So yes, does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. My second question is, if you had one piece of advice for a young high school athlete, what would it be?
Well, first, I would say if you're an athlete, you need to focus on your grades. That's something that's critical. Obviously, if you don't keep up your grades, you can't play at all. And I also talk about that in my book. There was a point in the season where you know, my grades started to slip, and you get tired from practice. But if I could tell myself, you know, even if you're tired, even if you're not wanting to do anything, after practice, you know, you gotta focus on your grades, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to play at all, and they'll kick you off the team. And that, I mean, that could have happened, but I was able to maintain my grades, get my grades back up, and you know, focus on in finishing the season, to my ultimate fate. So yes.
Okay, Wesley, tell us one more time what's the name of your book, show your book, and where we can get your book.
All right. Again, my name is Wesley Eggleston. My book can be found on Amazon. It's called My Football Story. You just search my name or search My Football Story. It'll come right up. And I hope everybody enjoys it. And again, it's cliche free, so you're gonna enjoy the sayings I have in there for everyone to comprehend and read. So thank you.
Thank you, Wesley. Okay, next we have Samuel. You muted.
Now I unmuted. Yes.
Okay, go ahead and tell us about yourself, where you're from, show us your books,
All right.
and tell us about your books.
All right. I'm Samuel Yorjin Prong, and I'm from Malaysia, which is a country in Southeast Asia. I'm an amateur author and artist, currently sometimes supporting my dad and my mom. My dad is divorced. And I also support his wife. Now there's a quarantine in my country, so I'm unable to visit my mom and support her. I have written 3 books. Unicorn Farmhand, which is a science fiction book about a horse that likes writing down, and how his writing made him famous as a attraction to his town. Hayogana, which is about a pilot who is transferred in exchange for some prisoners of war, and then he is forced to take part in various deadly tests. And lastly, Kingston Fair. It's about 3 friends who go to an convention, something like Comic-Con, in their hometown, where they try to find their favorite characters and merchandise. But however, they try to avoid the fights that are breaking out everywhere in the convention. Which of my 3 books do you like the most?
Well, I haven't read them, but I have some questions for you. Is
Yes.
the Markington Fair, is that something real, and have you ever been to one?
It's based on my experiences at Comic Fiesta, another fan convention in my country, in the capital, Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, okay. And how has becoming an author and illustrating your own books, how has it helped you improve your focus?
The time at quarantine has motivated me to try to keep focusing on my work instead of spending so much. Nonetheless, I tend to procrastinate. It's a problem I still had to fight against. I tend to procrastinate a lot and surf the internet. It's very addictive.
Yep, it sure is. Okay, now can you
Yeah.
tell us again who you are and the name of your books and where we can purchase your books at?
All right. First, I'm Samuel Yao Jian Fong. I'm from Malaysia. And there are my 3 books. Unicorn Farmhand is at Amazon. It's about a horse that likes writing sentences to his owners because he wants his owners to help him get rid of his nightmares. But because he's a horse that managed to write all by himself, his neighbors made him a celebrity, and so his family and he became famous. He still asks his family for help to get rid of the mind. My second book is Kingston Fair. Kingston Fair is again about a fan convention where 3 people visit and find the merchandise and their favorite characters. However, there are fights breaking out between very angry fans, very obsessed and angry fans. And the last is Hayogana. The J should be a year. Hayogana. It's about a pilot of the same name who got transferred to a super corporation. There, he had to face several tests to prove himself as the governor because the corporation has chosen him as the governor of an amusement park planet called Luril.
All right.
He survives these trials.
Mhm.
Right. All right.
Thank you,
Anything
Samuel.
else?
That's
You
it.
can
Thank
find them
you.
on Amazon.
On Amazon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have D. Roman. Go ahead and tell us who you are, where you're from, your books, about your books.
My name is D. Rowan. I'm Darren Rowan. That's my government name. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, the home of the GOAT, Muhammad Ali. So I've always been drawn to the arts, even in elementary, writing poems, doing some acting, which I do small acting now, stage plays, and got an Amazon special coming out hopefully soon. But I wrote a book called hashtag Mindset, the Mindset of Change. And in the book, I wanted to give people, including myself, some motivation and some inspiration to think, to channel differently our minds, to elevate us into a different season of our lives. And this happened to me coming out of 2019. 2017 for me was a rough year, 2018. And I remember sitting in church service, watch night service. I'm sure we can all remember those days, watch night service 2019. And I made a pledge to myself that my 2020 was not going to be the way my 19-year pledge didn't happen, and my 18-year pledge didn't happen. And my pastor, Pastor Corey Shule, said a scripture, Romans 12:2, and I'll just say the first part of it, and that is, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that set in my spirit, and I just began to play with just my emotions and try and be transparent with myself, knowing I had to make some changes in my life in order to change this mindset to go birth some new seasons in my life in 2020. So the pandemic hit, and it allowed me to be still from work, from friends, social life, me and my crib, just me. And doing that, and in doing that, I began to meditate and to really be transparent with myself. And so I began to finish writing this manuscript that I had started, but in a different way years ago, months ago, and I got to finish this during the pandemic. And I have, chapters in here that deals with just believing in yourself. And they're very transparent. I had to come clean. Like I give examples of how I went to a counselor fighting depression. And I know some men think that's a sign of weakness, but I give an example of how I went in the counselor's office, and I lean across the desk and I tell her, I say, look, I'm here for my 12 o'clock appointment. And she says, as I'm whispering that to her, hey, I'm here for my 12 o'clock appointment. And she says, I got you. And so I sat down in my chair and I'm waiting for, her to call me back. And it's 4 or 5 people in the office. And 12 o'clock hits and she slides that glass door back and she says, Darren Rowan, your appointment is time. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, and I tell those stories about how I had to embrace my insecurities to move toward my healing and my blessings. Because I think I was listening to Wesley's story, when he was dealing with the water on his brain. I'm sure there was some self-doubt that creeped in somewhere. And he had to say to himself, nah, I'm bigger than this. I'm better than this. I can come through this. And he used his story in manuscript form that is surely going to bless some other person that's going to come across that. And so I wanted to use my platform, God, being led by God, staying in prayer, to just give that person, give that youth, give that adult, give that man, give that woman some encouragement that wherever you are right now, you do not have to stay where you are, but it has to start here. It has to, you can't start anywhere else but in your mind. The most powerful tool we have is on our shoulders. And once we train this beast to obey what we want, not what, I read something that the universe is not set up to reward what we need, but it is set up to reward what we seed. So when we begin to see the proper thoughts into our mindset, watch out. Is it easy? Heck no. I struggle every day. It's like a muscle. I go to the gym 6 days a week. I have to condition this thing 7 days a week. There is no rest. There is no rest. So that's what my book is about. I hope it blesses people that comes across it. You can get the book at mindsetthebook.com, mindsetthebook.com. It links right to Amazon, right to Kindle. And so that's my book, Queenie.
Okay. What was there a pivotal point in your life that you realized that this book needed to be published?
Yeah. You know what it was? The opposition. When the opposition began to come in my life and even my self-doubt, I knew that this was bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? We all have a journey, and sometimes our journey is not ours. It's the end, it's the purpose that is going to be used for others, whether it's a fictional book or non-fictional book. It's your purpose. And so when I began to receive those oppositions, not haters, but I'm talking about the enemy in me, When I began to recognize that and pray my way through that, and I talk about that in this book, then I was able to channel more positive energy than negative energy to finish this manuscript.
Okay.
Let me give you one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people, I love movies. And in the movie, 8 Mile, Eminem's movie 8 Mile, he's on a rap battle scene. And the first time he did a rap battle, they destroyed him. He got laughed off the mic because when it was his turn to rap, he was like, he just stood there. The crowd laughed him off. The second rap battle, end of the movie, Eminem tells him he destroys the first competition. The second guy was the leader of the free world. His name was Clarence. Clarence, you couldn't beat Clarence. Clarence had all the street cred. Before the battle, Eminem's boy says, "Hey man, are you worried about what they're going to say to you? Say about you?" Eminem says, "What do you mean?" "Well, about them sleeping with your girl and your living conditions, your status, you're poor, you're trash." And Eminem gives him a blank look. Eminem goes out, takes the microphone first, unveils all his dirt to Papa Doc, and then tells him, "Here's the microphone. Tell these folks something they don't know about me." I did that in this book. When you asked me that question, that's what kind of self-doubt came in my life. And right when I was ready to say, you know what, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be judged. I don't want my people to know nothing about my life. Let them think what they think. God put that movie in my heart and in my soul. So I opened that up with that. I'm like, hey, I am Darren Rowan. These are my failures. This is what I've done. These are my shortcomings. Now here, you read my book. What you gonna say about me? So that's where I am.
Okay. How do you think this book helped others to change their mindset with the failures in their lives?
I use for one, believing in yourself. I know Wesley said, by using cliches, I use one that's original. And I say, it's called clap for yourself. So wherever you're going through and whatever you're reading the book and whatever you take from it, at some point in your journey, because I asked you in this book to take this journey with me, I want you to stop and recognize what you've done and clap for yourself. Nobody determines our success but us. And sometimes when we let the world determine our broad level of success and what we should have and where we should be in life, we miss the small things that we do accomplish. So if anything, I want you to take from this book that you are a king, you are a queen, you are on the right path, and clap for yourself. That'd be my answer to that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we have Roland Page.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, Queen? I would like to start off by saying I'm honored to be on this panel, with such good authors, But my name is Roland Page, the author of Eating the Forbidden Fruit. I wrote the book many years ago, and it's basically based on my past career as a St. Louis City police officer, convicted of federal crimes due to my childhood affiliation. This is a journey of transparency. You hear that in law enforcement, and this is a tale of karma, confession, and redemption. The book start off when I'm in actual federal court, my sentencing day, and as I'm patiently waiting for the federal judge to come in, I reflect back on my life to see where I made mistakes from my childhood on up to the actual incident of eating the forbidden fruit. I named the book Eating the Forbidden Fruit because once a law enforcement indulged in unethical acts, criminal acts, they call that fruit of the poisonous tree. That's a law term. So with eating the forbidden fruit, it was basically the things that I fell for, and that my demise dealing into temptations and things like that. It's definitely, this is true. It's based on real events. Now, it's a fiction, and I explained to a lot of people because it seems like a biography. I had to change events and people names out of respect for privacy, and to also not be able to have repercussions from the law, even though my statute of limitations are up. And that is something from the past. I still wanted to maintain a little privacy. So the book, the reason I wrote the book, because like I said, I wrote it many years ago, but my mother passed 3 years ago, and I promised her that I would finish what I started. And she passed away of cancer. And my whole family is in the book. I really pay homage. If you can look at the book, you can see a mother, my picture, when she was 19 in her kimono, because my mother is a native of Osaka, Japan. I'm a military family as well, as I served in the military myself as law enforcement. And just goes to show you the things of law enforcement, especially now. I released my book during the pandemic, and the things, the chaotic ways of what you see in the United States now among law enforcement. My book is based on the 80s and 90s, and I'm 55 years old, and I spoke on these things. Now social media, bring it to light, but if you read my book, you'll see an in-depth revelation of things like what we talk about. It's just not police brutality. It's other things, that unethical acts that's in law enforcement that people tend to not think about, infidelities and things that can bring bad karma. I try not to get into a spiritual sense, but what goes around comes around. And, with my book, I reveal that as well. It's a love story between me and my wife, Tracy Page. So 55, I've been with her since I was 16, and that just shows you to speak on Black love. She's been by my side through thick and thin, and therefore, so, the book is also dedicated to her and my kids. It's for my kids, it's a blueprint. It's a blueprint for my kids, for me to pass on for generations to come to my kids about learn from my mistakes. You can praise me now for my actions now because I'm an entrepreneur, an author, but just learn from my mistakes. So you don't have to go through them. That's being a father. I have lupus. That's one thing. So the pandemic, I haven't been doing any interviews because I've been going through an emotional process. I did the worstest nightmare. I caught COVID, having lupus, so that was a battle. And it affected me emotionally. It just seems like, the cards that life deals, my mother's death, I have no family here in the United States besides my immediate family, which is my wife and kids. And that's good enough for me. But it's a difficult time. And with law enforcement, I've been holding emotions back. Needless to say, my book, I did do wrong. So, if you read my book, you'll see the things that led up to my criminal conviction. Because when people think about a cop being incarcerated, you think about police brutality, maybe drug harboring and things like that. And I will say, those are elements of my case, but however, it is just not that in depth, because I got convicted on affiliation. So, because my childhood friends, people who I grew up with, trusted, never turned their back on me. And I was placed in a position where I either turned them in, because as a police officer, if you have any knowledge of any criminal activity, you have to act on that. And I chose not to. And I just, I took it on the head, to end the indictment, because if I would have spoke, more indictments would have came, and I felt I had to do the most stand-up thing. Because one thing about it, my friends who may have been indulged in that type of activity, because they were my friends, they never implicated me. We never spoke on that, about selling drugs or nothing like that. But, I never turned my back. I kept in contact with them and things like that. And that is frowned upon in law enforcement. So that's why I admitted to the things that I did. I also felt, because of my past growing up, I got away with I did a lot of unethical things, immoral things to my wife and to other people. So upon my arrest, that first day in jail, I felt I had this coming. I kind of felt it anyway. I just felt that I was spiraling out of control, just living a dark life. But, I wore a badge. I wasn't hurting anybody or things like that besides my family and myself. So that's it. You can find my book on Amazon. It's called Eating the Forbidden Fruit. I do have a website. It's www.arthurrowlandpage.com. I'm also on Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target, things like that, if that's your choice of a outlet. But I think you would love my book, especially now with law enforcement, the things that's going on. I applaud the people who came out and vote with the historic turnout. These are things that I talk about in the book. And, I never thought that this time would come because I worked for one of the most controversial departments in the US, St. Louis, with the crime that we're going through and things like this. These things, it's not as severe back then, but it was going on. You think about law enforcement, it's other things that can promote. One thing I want to speak on, it's other things that can promote violence. When you get, say for instance, when you get two detectives during interrogation, and they're interviewing the two suspects, and they're co-conspirators. And one detective tell one that your friend already spoke on you. He's already admitted, and you tell the other the same. Then you release these two onto the harsh streets. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know what's going to happen. you're going to have two friends going after each other. And actually, that's a part of my book. That's what put the bullseye on my book, because the things that I did to diffuse situations, and they felt that I chose the line that I was affiliated with some friends. And I just, listen, I don't encourage drugs. That's one thing I frown on it, even though I was convicted of it. But because it tears life, it deprives kids of resources from their parents. So that's something I frown on. But I will now allow to individuals who will have to eventually stand for drug charges, face homicide charges. That's not worth it. You just, that you just don't have the value of life like that. And that's why I admit that I didn't have what it takes to be a police officer. I did my job. When I put on that uniform, I did my job to the fullest. But thinking back, and even in my book, I reflect that I didn't have the qualities to be a police officer, because I can't turn my back on my friends. And I will not. Queen.
Well, it looks like we're live, so I'll just keep it
Yeah, go
going,
ahead.
just for the
Keep
sake
it going.
of. So my name is Solomon Tension. I'm so grateful to be on this platform with all of these amazing brothers and hearing their stories. And as I'm listening to you guys and your story, and some of you guys have published multiple books, it certainly motivated me. This is my first self-published book that I've entitled The King in Me, that's designed to help men of color around the world walk through their journey of healing and personal development towards discovering a life of purpose. So I want to share with you guys and those that may be viewing kind of the book cover. This book is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, with retailers around the world. And so again, The King in Me, this is part one of the King in Me series. And again, it's a practical guide designed to help men of color discover their life's purpose through self-exploration, healing, and personal development. So it was a combination of theories and that I've learned and picked up along the way with my background in psychology, coupled with exercises and activities in my life story to help men of color discover their life's purpose. Because we know that it's important for me, as you know, like many of you, COVID has taught us all a variety of different lessons, and I know I've certainly learned some things. And this book was written during COVID experience, and for me, just a commitment to give back to men of color differently, pulling lessons from my life to help people discover their life's purpose and what's their assignment. And so this book helps men work through trauma. It helps them work through identifying the right relationships that they might need. It helps them with affirmations to help rewire their subconscious mind. There's daily journal activities. There's daily reflections. And so I'm excited about this project. We're excited. We just launched it a couple of weeks ago. And so we're just so hopeful that men of color around the world who find themselves stuck trying to figure out what their next steps are, trying to take their next steps towards healing in their life because they've identified that there's some broken places that they need to heal before they move forward, right? We want them to engage in our book to help them identify the king that's in them, because we all know as men, there's a king inside of us. And I think about one of the quotes that inspired me to continuously do this work. Tony Robbins talks about the fact that when you heal the boy, the man emerges. And so I think that was just so profound. And I think that the king in me speaks to helping brothers heal that boy, heal that part of them that was broken, so that we can become our best selves. We can become better husbands, better fathers, better just contributors to society as a whole. So again, Solemn Intention, The King in Me, my first published book. You can find it on Amazon and all the various platforms. You can also follow me on Instagram, _Sim Companies, or you can follow me at Dr. Solemn Intention. And so excited to share this book with all of you. And thank you guys for the time. And Ms. Queen, I see that you are back. So we kind of kept it going. So thank you guys for allowing me to share.
All right, yeah, I'm sorry about that. My internet just went completely down. Dr. Simon, I'm gonna come back to you.
Okay.
Solomon, I'm sorry. Mr. Page, I want to ask 2 questions, please. After these experiences that you had, what would you have done differently? You muted.
He's not Mr.
Can you hear me
Page.
now?
Okay,
Nah,
yes.
yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. If I wouldn't change anything, because really, Queenie, I believe everything happened for a reason. As I said before, I actually could have beat the case, and that is idiotic. That has that sound that I felt I had it coming, and being a military man, and as my father, he was a drill sergeant, did 38 years. I was taught to, as a man, fess up to whatever you've done, and you make the things best for what it is.
Okay. And the second question, did you inspire to be a tattoo artist prior to being a police officer?
I've always been a artist, Queen, and that's the marvelous thing. I really don't consider myself an author, especially hearing all these stories from these other authors. That's something I feel like I deserve. But being an artist, I've always been able to draw as a graffiti artist, as a tattoo artist. So translating a visual art onto paper, it was quite easy for me, and it was therapeutic for me, especially dealing with lupus and PTSD, things that are depression that I now experience, and I'm handling it quite well. I do have 2 other books, but I don't really consider my career as an author. I do have 2 other books on the tattoo industry and about lupus coming out.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Solomon, thank you for taking over. I really appreciate that. But your 2 questions is, what propelled you to write this book? You muted.
Thank you for that question. So for me, it was just really doing that inner work and a new desire. As we grow, we have different levels. Our purpose evolves as we evolve. And so I, like some of the other brothers on the call, I always disqualified myself. And I never thought I really had anything to share with other brothers. I thought I was still learning. I got my own issues, my own insecurities. And so who am I to give any type of support? But I learned along the way that's when we come out of things, it's our responsibility to help others and to not disqualify. So I was just inspired to help men walk in purpose. That's one of the things that I've been blessed to be able to do at a young age. And I thought that it was important to share that process with other brothers so they can experience that fulfillment as well. And so I had to do the work, and the King in Me is a byproduct of that.
Okay. If men wanted to start journaling, what steps do you think they should take?
Yeah, and I think journaling is, there's research out there that talks about how therapeutic journaling is, right? And I think that
Right.
and I think that men, we journal more than we might know, right? If you lead in any capacity, when you stop and jot things on your sticky note or in your notebook, that's a form of journaling, right? You're preparing for the next day, or you may be developing business plans. And so it's just journaling about yourself and about your journey. So it's not just a journal, it's also a guide, there's activities, there's prompts there. So I think that to start, I think this book is a good start, but also just taking time out of your day your personal development time, to where you write about your issues, your challenges, where you want to go, next steps, just like what you do for budget planning or anything else. I think you got to take some time to write about you and where you want to go, or process your thoughts and emotions. I think that as men, we've got to do that. And sometimes, I even encourage brothers, if you got to throw it away, if it's a process to where you got to get some thoughts out, process it, and throw it away, more of a release thing, I encourage brothers to do that as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have J.W. Nelson. You can take it away.
Hello. Good evening from England. I am from what I called Robin Hood's country. You should know where that is. That's in Nottingham. And don't worry, I'm not going to rob you of anything. So unlike the man in the past. I've been writing since I was 11 years old. And like some of the other men have said, I started writing probably when I was at what we call senior school here in the UK. And a little embarrassing, actually, a little story is my English teacher used to read out my stories in front of the whole class. And sometimes they used to end up clapping, and I didn't know where to look. And I think that was, for me, the inspiration would be to write. Most of my writing is fiction. And I've actually written this book, Company of Fools, which is also on Amazon. Came out in September. And I've written the book about a salesman. And basically, one of the first books I read about 25 years ago about writing books was to write about what you know. So if you, like some of you have written about your own personal experiences, and what better book to write, because you know your experiences, you've lived through them, so you're the best person, you're the best voice. And for me, I've been in sales for, I think, nearly 30 years now. So my book is targeted around a salesman's journey, but it could be anybody's journey. And it's a fictitious book. And this main character, Justin, wants three simple things from his career or from his life. And that is to get a good job, like we all do. He wants to try and find a partner, a girlfriend, and hopefully start a family. So those three things seem like what everyone else has, and he wants to get it. But unfortunately, he goes through a whole roller coaster ride of how he attempts to try and get this. And at the end of the book, you see whether he has all three, none of them, one of them, or two of them. And there will be a follow-up book to Company of Fools, which will be called Journey into History. So I've written, I think, 5 books already. This is my first kind of self-published book. I have a thriller trilogy. I write loads of poems. I also have a website, jwnelson309.com, which is my blog. I've got loads of poems. I've just written 2 poems about Black history and Black Lives Matter, which is also on my blog. So my poetry tends to span all different topics and subjects, whether they be something for a bit of lightheartedness, because we know, obviously, especially because of COVID, we've all had to rethink how we live, how we work, how we interact with our family, or not, as the case may be. So it's really made us sit up and think about how we can either benefit ourselves, each other, and obviously what we do to cope, because we've probably never been in this, I suppose, mental state before. And I know Darren was talking about mindset. It really does now really affect your mindset. How strong are you mentally to cope? For a lot of people, they've never worked from home before. Now they're suddenly working from home, but they're working from home with 3 screaming kids and an elderly grandma or granddad. So everything's new. And I suppose that's part of the challenges we have, is trying to work through this. And hopefully, I think my book hopefully gives people a little bit of light relief, from all those tough things we have to live through kind of day by day. And in some ways, it's similar to what my main character, Justin, goes through in his attempts to try and collect these 3 things: his job, his wife, his family, etc. So I think those are things that are in the book. There is a nod, I suppose, to my own family upbringing. I'm from a big family. My mum and dad are from Jamaica. She came here in the late 50s, early 60s. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. So, and my mum always used to quote a famous saying, because there was so much noise in our house, and she used to call it Belgium. She said, "It's like Belgium in here." And I said, "Mum, no, it's not Belgium, it's Bedlam." So, but that was her take on the madness and the noise that we used to grow up with. And I try and tell my kids now that I said I couldn't do my homework at home. And they said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I used to have to go to the library because it was so noisy, because I'm the youngest boy. So all my older brothers had their friends round. My mom had her friends round. And my dad had his friends round. So literally it was like Christmas 7 days a week at the house. So to get a bit of peace and quiet, I had to go to the library to try and revise for my exams." So again, I think my writing, I use some of my own personal things that I've been through, but I fictionalize it in my writing. I'm hoping to write a couple of children's books. I've done a kind of a rewriting of Little Red Riding Hood, but I've called it Little Boyhood. So so again, I'm trying to vary my writing. I think there's so much content that you can put out there that will hopefully give somebody some joy and relief, hopefully somewhere in the world.
Okay, what inspired you to write this book?
I think the inspiration was using my experience of being in sales, and basically the pressure that you're under. So as well as the pressure you're under yourself to try and acquire what you want, a wife, a girlfriend, a good job, etc., you're now under pressure, if you do get that good job, to meet those sales targets, so you can still have another job the next month and the next month and the next month. And that requires a lot of, again going back to Darren's point, in sales, mindset is everything. The psychological game is probably the most powerful thing you can do in order to achieve your sales goals, because you have to not only think positive, you have to think about your strategies to how you're going to sell. How is what I'm selling going to benefit the customers about to pay me X thousands of dollars or pounds for that service or product that they're about to buy? And then looking at the planning. So if you look at how supermarkets sell, I always use this analogy. They talk about the lifetime spend of a customer. So you're not just buying one product now and then I don't buy from you for the next 10 years. They're saying, how many times can we sell to this customer over the next 10 years? So we get a lifetime spend out of them. And that's the kind of strategy you have to kind of put in. And I think I've tried to sow some of those seeds into the book. Again, even though it's fictionalized, the processes are real. The kind of pressures you're under are real. And then obviously it depends on how you as an individual will react to those pressures.
Okay. Is your characters real life or made up?
Their characters are all made up, but a lot of the influences are genuine. So I used to work for a company called Digital. It's an IT company that was around many years ago. They got bought by Compaq, who then got bought by Hewlett Packard. And my manager, 2 of my managers at the time, had been in the industry for over 20 years. And a lot of the stories they told me about what used to happen are in this book. So again, although it's fictionalized, a lot of the actual things that happened did actually happen. So, but because they were quite humorous and comedic, I've put them in the book, which kind of suited what I'm writing.
Okay, and tell us where the name of your book and where we can find your book at.
Yeah, so my book is called Company of Fools. It's available on Amazon as a paperback and ebook. You can look me up on Twitter at JWNelson3. You'll find me on there. And as I said, I've got my blog, which is jwnelson309.com, and you'll find loads of poetry. As I said, there's 2 poems on Black Lives Matter and Black History Month, which is on there, which I wrote only a couple of weeks ago. And there's loads of variety of things on there as well, which hopefully you'll find of interest.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, our next writer, author is Benji, the writer. Go ahead, Benji.
Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Benji, the writer, author of The Perfect Love Strangers. It's a story of love, hurt, and betrayal. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, yes, I'm the writer of The Perfect Love Strangers, and this publishing company by the writer's block. The story follows the main character, Demonte. Transitioning back to attend the University of Cincinnati. It basically just follows him seeing how his past life tries to catch up to him and tortures him. His aunt having a part in it all, from paying the ex's living expenses to come back to Cincinnati to follow him, to setting up a whole fake relationship.
Okay. What inspired you to write this book?
Life. Like I tell everybody, I put my life into my work. Not only do I put in my life, I put in the hard work behind it. Bits and pieces of this story actually came from my personal life. Some of the topics are kind of sensitive with me, but I knew for a fact that it gave the story much more meaning and much more life in doing so. This, I wouldn't say technically wasn't supposed to happen, but it wasn't supposed to happen. It started off just as an after school, something to do kind of thing. And next thing I know, I started to fall in love with writing. This book actually took me 10 years to actually complete. From the different storylines to all the plot twists, it drained me to come up with.
What is your genre and what attracted you to this genre?
Fiction. The reason why I love to write fiction is because I'm able to come out with the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's actually something, it actually is an scapegoat for me. I can escape the real world and create another universe and escape real life momentarily. So with fiction, it gives me the freedom to create an entire life for one person. And it makes me feel better. It's like a beautiful treatment for me.
And where can we find your book again?
On Instagram, Facebook, and Amazon under The Perfect Love Strangers by Benji the writer.
All right. Thank you, Benji.
You're welcome.
Next we have Kenneth Powers.
Yes, hello. Yes, my name is Kenneth Powers. As you see it, I'm a teacher and a writer from Detroit, Michigan. And here's my book in his own words. Okay. It's a youth fiction book. It centers on an adopted family, an adopted child named Stephen Owens. He has a speech impediment, and he's often bullied because of it. He reacts by becoming violent. And throughout the book, I tried to tell the youth that there are ways to deal with bullying besides violence and besides fighting. It's also a Christian themes in the book because the main character is part of a Christian family. His father is a minister. We also deal with the fact that he's adopted and those issues that accompany that, as far as having problems with identity, feelings of being rejected. I use my own experience as a foster parent. I was a foster parent for 6 years, so I saw a lot of what they go through as far as foster parents, adopted kids. It's a good conversation starter for parents and children as they struggle with bullying, how it affects youth. As far as my own life, I began writing since high school. It was a way to express myself growing up because I was like Steve, I was very shy, had a speech impediment, still struggle sometimes. But it was my voice pretty much, basically. I was the editor my last year of high school. I went to college. I majored in journalism. And after graduating, I changed my career path to education. So pretty much, the focus of the book is bullying, ways to deal with it rather than fighting. And the book is called In His Own Words. You can find it on Amazon.com. Also, I could be emailed to get more information. My email is kennethlavelle@hotmail.com. That's Kenneth, Kenneth, Lavelle, Lavell @hotmail.com. Thank you.
Okay, Kenneth, do you think, since we have mostly went virtual in school, do you think it has eliminated the power of bullying? If so, why or why not?
I think it has, in a sense, as far as physical bullying, because kids don't see each other. But I think we still have cyberbullying, as far as bullying over the internet, people that do name calling over the internet. And my school has been showing kids how to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
How to avoid it, who to go to. You go to your parents if it's an issue. You go to your teacher, an adult. So there still is bullying, but it's not as much physical. Now it's more cyberbullying because we are on the internet more.
Okay, what are some of the problems that foster kids face?
One problem that they face is a lot of them miss their parents. They miss their biological parents. And they struggle connecting with the foster parent or with the adoptive parents. And usually the ones who are a little older, the ones who are like, maybe, let's say, age of 6 and up, they
Mm-hmm.
struggle more. They struggle more in the homes of the people who are taking care of them.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kenneth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Keith Clark.
My name is Keith Clark. I've written a book called The Dreaded Day Job. It is a urban fantasy / comedy dealing with a main character named Evan. His job is to go into various companies and sabotage them through something that he calls the whammy. It's just, changing probabilities of things happening. He'll touch a computer and it'll break down. He will touch a phone and it won't work. One of the things that he does is he's supposed to get in and destroy a server so that a new one can be replaced. And he hates his job. He doesn't like the fact that for his job to be successful, other people have to lose theirs. And compounded this with the quote unquote day job that he has to do, he works in a call center, which is what I did while I was writing this book. And I tried to, get across a lot of the frustrations, that people have in doing a job that they don't like, especially with Evan, who is tries to be a good person, but he's always put into these bad situations. And you can find the book, The Dreaded Day Job, on Amazon.com, or you can go to my blog page, which is seethingapathy.com. And there you'll be able to find a link to that and the other books I've written.
Okay, Keith, what is 4 bits and $1?
4 Bits and $1 is a collection of short stories I wrote to kind of figure out what I would have to do to have something published on Amazon. And short stories are my worst thing. I can never write a short story. It ends up just blossoming and getting out of control. Mm-hmm. So I took the only 4 that I wrote and I put them together and I just put them out there to see what would happen.
Okay. And did you write The Dreaded Day Job out of satisfaction for your own job?
No, the complete opposite. I wrote it out of frustration for the job I had, and I figured this would be a good way to get it out.
Okay. All right, and where can we find your book again?
You can find my book at Amazon, The Dreaded Day Job, and I have a blog, www.seethingapathy.com. And from there, you'll be able to find links to The Dreaded Day Job, 4 Bits and $1, and any of the other books I've written.
All right, thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a Page Turner. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Queenie. Thank you for having me. Thank you, all the other authors and the people who are listening in. I appreciate it. So, my government name is Richard Turner. My author name is A. Page Turner, because everything I write will be a page turner, right? So, I am from Chicago, Illinois, born and raised south side of Chicago. When I was 19 years old, I played college basketball. On the way to a game, I got held at gunpoint, right? Wrong place, wrong time. And my uncle said, hey, you need to get off the streets, join the military. So that's what I did. I ended up doing 28 years. So I did 8 years Navy, I did 20 years Army, and I made history. So I'm the first African-American to ever reach the rank of Chief 1 Officer 5 in the Transportation Corps since its existence of 1942. So after that, I had nothing else to prove. I retired after 28 years to this great nation. And I took a job in Tampa, Florida as a contractor working for the Special Operation Forces. So then COVID hit, right? So teleworking came. So now I'm in the house, I'm bored. And I said, hey, I'm gonna write a book, right? But what I'm gonna write about. So at that time, Power, the TV show Power on Stars was going off, and I hated the way it ended, right? I hated that they killed Ghost. So I said, hey, I think that I can write a better book, but I want to do something different with the character who's involved in the drug trade. So I came out with my first book. It's a 3-book series going in reverse chronological order, and I'm doing the last book first. So the name of this book is called The Emancipation of Limits. I'm going to show you the book cover. And The Emancipation of Limits is basically about a character who was an entrepreneur and a businessman who went into the drug trade that he took over from his uncle. But this drug dealer was going to use his profits to uplift the Black community, to recreate a Black Wall Street. So it is a very good book. It is 100,000 words. It's about 15 chapters, and it's written as if you can see it on Netflix. What else about the book? It's a 3-book series. So this book is called The Emancipation of Limits. The next book could be called Proclamation of a God, and the first book could be called The Beginning, the Reign of Marblehead. So all my books you will be able to get from my website, www.apageturner.com. You will not find it on Amazon. You will not find it anywhere else. Why? Because I want all my money. So go to www.apageturner.com to basically pick up this book. So I have a 30-second book trailer that I would like to share with everybody. So I'm gonna go ahead and load that up. I don't know if everybody was able to see it. Did it come on? Oh, wow, because it played here. Let me see if I can try it again. Share contact, drive. Hey, I apologize, having a difficult, it's playing. I don't know why it's not playing, but it's there and ready to go. So, pending your questions, Queenie, what do you have for me?
What does that title mean and your title mean?
Okay, the Emancipation of Limits, right? So the word emancipation is very close to the African-American community. So it means free, right? So the main character, Richie, basically he wants to use money from the drug trade to help African-Americans be self-sufficient, right? Because the American system that's placed before us, you know, we might have ones and twos that be able to get out there and do great things like, you know, Jay-Z and all the other African-American entertainers out there who can become billionaires and millionaires. But for the most part, we're all held down to the lack of jobs, education, so on and so forth. So the main character is basically using his finances to start businesses in the Black community. So he's freeing the Black community of any limits. There's no ceiling to what we can do. So that's the name of the book, The Emancipation of Limits.
Okay. Oh, you can hear me. Being in the Army and Navy, how did both of those experiences fit your journey as an author?
Just the experiences, right? So I already have a huge imagination, being around different people, different walks of life. You know, I've been around the world twice, and I've been in different cultures. So all those things that cultivated in the Navy, it just broadened my imagination. So after 8 years, I went to the Army as a warrant officer. And, you know, I went all over the Caribbean, but then 9/11 hit. So once 9/11 hit, then we start deploying and we start going into the war zone. So that gave me another, a total different understanding of a totally different culture that I had no idea about. So you take 28 years of this experience of going around the world and learning different cultures. And, you know, I'm able to take that into my imagination and then put it on paper.
Okay. Well, thank you, Paige Turner. I really appreciate that. And this would conclude the all male author expose. I really appreciate all of you male authors for coming in today. And last words, anybody have any last words they would like to say before we close out?
I would like to say
yes.
something like go
Wait
first. So yeah, everybody can go to my website, www.apajturner.com. All my books is going to be there. You can get the ebook, you can get the paperback, and you can get the hard copy. And I also have my apparel on there for the Emancipation of Limits. Yeah, just get the book. It is a great read. People review it. This is a Netflix series right now.
Okay, Samuel, I see your hand go up.
All right. I have a website called Rabbito's Verse. Rabbito's Verse Wiki. You can check it out and find any article you like. This is for my stories. This is this is about the setting of my stories from the country of Xiangwan to Mockington Fair and the Conyo Super Corporation.
All right, thank you. Anyone
I also make up languages.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
I'd just like to say
Yes,
very quickly, thanks for inviting me onto the call. And I'd just like to say to Paige Turner, you've got a Robin Hood character going on there, it sounds like, with the man using his wealth to help the poorer people.
Thank you.
And I also want to start off by saying thank you so much for having me. And you can follow, everybody can follow me on Instagram and Facebook under Benji the Writer. And also I have a blog, Simply Me 1983 on WordPress. And I am searching for new writers, if that helps.
Thank you. Kenneth, you had your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes, like I said, I'm Kenneth Powers. It's my book in his own words. You can find it at Amazon.com, or you can send me an email, KennethLavel@hotmail.com. Kenneth, KENNETHLAVELL @hotmail.com. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Wesley?
I just wanted to say, well, first, thank you for allowing me to be on this with all these great writers and all their different stories, and giving me the opportunity to talk. I just wanted to say, you again, if you wanted to learn more about me, learn more about my journey, learn and find my book, it's all on. I have a website as well, and it's wesleyeggleston.com. And I just wanted to say, in conclusion, for my book, I think the best person for this book is someone that's transitioning from middle school going on to high school. And I believe it'll help you get through your high school sports if you're playing them. So that's just mainly something I really I forgot to say. And
Okay.
I think that's good.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, go ahead, D. You muted.
I got you. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be on this panel with so many great guys, great authors. Good luck to you all. My book is at mindsetthebook.com, mindsetthebook.com. Hope you get it. Hope it blesses you. Everybody who's listening, thank you for the support that I've had from my community, my tribe. Appreciate you all very much. Be blessed.
All right. Well, that concludes it. Everybody, thank you for coming in today, and have a good day.